I did an impromptu live on TikTok this morning because I had a dream and I figured, you know what? I'm gonna go on TikTok, see if somebody can help me interpret this dream because if I go any longer, I maybe don't forgot the doggone dream. So I said, let me get on real quick. I got on, I thought I was recording. I did record the video. I found out that the audio did not even record. So I'm kind of upset about that. So I got to fix that so that next time this won't happen. But this is what I talked about. I had a dream that I had a boyfriend and he and I was in a training or some type of class. And it was break time. So he and I went out of the classroom, and outside of the door were restaurants, people selling all kinds of stuff. And we were just looking at the stuff. Just looking at the restaurants, looking at what people had to sell. And this seemed like an old town. It had cobblestone roads. The buildings seemed like they had been there for years and years and hundreds of years. They were made out of stone. It's like a stone city. And I realized after we looking at stuff for a while, I said, oh, snap. We finna be late. We got to get back to class. So we get on back to class. And in my mind, as I'm looking at us walk back into the classroom, I realized we don't have much clothes on. It's like I got my private stuff covered up. He got his. And nobody's batting an eye that we hardly have any clothes on. And we come back to the class. Nobody says anything real. Everybody else is in class waiting. And we come in and it's like everybody else is just there with their backs up straight looking at the instructor. I can't remember if the instructor was still talking or not, or they were waiting on us, but it just seemed like everybody else was, I don't know, kind of robotic or kind of stiff. And I don't know what happened on that part because from my memory, I switched to me being with a friend. And me and this friend, she's hysterical, and I had to think because big old snakes was coming into the city. When I say big snakes, I mean bigger than anacondas. Anacondas are thick. These were thick and these were long snakes. They had huge heads probably about the size of my head all the way to my waist. Huge heads. They were coming into the city in herds. And what were they doing? They were eating people whole, knocking them down, just eating them. They weren't constricting. They were knocking you down, and you were just being sucked into their bodies whole. And it takes a long time for a snake to digest something big. But these snakes were it was fast. The knockover, them coming into the town and them swallowing you just really fast. And they was getting a lot of people. My friend was hysterical. We going around town, we hiding, we watching the snakes. And we ended up going to her mother's house. Her mother was a scientist or a chemist. And when we got there, she was coming up with a concoction, something to help us with these snakes, to repel snakes. And she wrote the ingredients on the wall. And she told us, spray this stuff on your body. It may help you. We got to see. We have to try something. Her daughter my friend, was hysterical. Me, I'm like, I want to try anything I can. And if this is going to help, I'm going to put it on. I was putting it all over my body, my hair, my face, inside my clothes, outside my clothes. Put it on. I think I had to put some on a friend too because she was just out of it, too scared. And then I saw that the main ingredient for this concoction was an orange. It's almost like we was in black and white. Everything was in black and white, but the orange was in color. And the repellent, it was orange too. So I put some of that stuff on my body, right? Put some on a friend. The mama, she left. I don't know where she went, but I do know that it worked. Whatever she had up in there, it worked. And I started spraying it on other people. And what happened was that I had a boyfriend, right? I had a child by this boyfriend, and anybody who had been sprayed with this repellent, their child came out naturally repelling these snakes. People who had survived these snakes in other cities started coming to this city. They would tell their stories on how they survived, and they would get sprayed down as well. Now, the concoction that the mama put on the wall, I had cut it out the wall so that I could make more. And then after a while, we started reproducing, and those snakes that seemed so big, they became small. And I don't know if they became small because we repelled them or because they couldn't eat like they used to eat. But I do know that a snake came up to my face, but it couldn't do anything. It's almost like the snake couldn't see me. When I had that orange stuff on, it's like that orange stuff, once you put it on, it becomes a part of your body. Like you can bathe, you can take a shower, be in the rain. It doesn't matter. It's part of you at that point. So when a snake comes up next to you and can get in your face, but the snake doesn't see you, it can't smell you, it's like it doesn't even know you're there. So I was wondering what others thought of the dream. My friend Robin had got on and she said that she looked it up, and orange sometimes mean transformation. Somebody said snakes mean that that somebody's going to be deceiving. And then someone else said that that concoction, that repellent, could be the recipe for the next outbreak that's going to happen. And I'm like, shoot, I receive all that. And my main complaint of my dream was I get dreams all the time, but I have no idea what they mean. They come to me, they're like a parable. It's like a puzzle. And it's like you're trying to piece it together, but it's like you don't have all the parts. And then I said, if God is going to give me a message, a dream, or something to help, I got to be able to interpret it, or somebody has to be able to interpret it so I can help somebody or help myself. What's the purpose of giving it to somebody if they don't have all the pieces to the puzzle? And then as, people are talking in the chat, I said, I call people Adam. I call some men Adam all the time. Y'all remember Adam in the Bible where God said, hey, who told you was naked, And the first thing he did, he says, the woman that you gave me, she told me to eat of the fruit. First thing Adam does is blame somebody else. He doesn't take accountability for himself. And that's what I was doing, in a sense. I was looking at everything that I didn't have in this dream instead of looking at the clues that I did have. Maybe, just maybe, I don't have my frequency to God clear enough so that when I am dreaming, he is sending me something. Excuse me. Maybe it's because I haven't been meditating like I should. I haven't been listening to his word. When he be trying to tell me stuff, I don't be paying attention, or I bypass it, or I say, oh, it's something else. Maybe it's me. Maybe the dream came across clear. I just didn't remember. That's not God's fault that I didn't remember. I was being an Adam. I'm blaming God for what I don't have instead of saying, hey, thank you for sending me what you sent me because you're giving me clues. Maybe I need to work on myself so that when I do have these dreams, I can interpret them. I can get the message out of them. I can help myself and I can help somebody else. What if that recipe is a recipe that can help for a multitude of things? What if? Why don't I just ask God? Because somebody said that. Why don't you just ask God to help you. Ask them, what does it mean? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. God works through people. God is a spirit. And you get your answers through other people, through other signs, through other things. And I had forgot that at that moment. And it just took people saying certain things in the comments for me to remember. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that, hey, I got on live. I'm thankful for all the people who watched the live, who said something. I'm thankful for the people. Some people gave gifts. I appreciate it. I really do. It really bothers me a lot of times because I do have dreams and I'm supposed to write them down. That's another thing. I'm supposed to write down my dreams so that I'll remember them. And then if something happens, I can go back to that dream and maybe I have the interpretation. Maybe I've had the interpretation all this time. The thing about this dream is those big old snakes that were coming through. This is the second dream I had about big snakes coming through a town. The first dream I had 2 years ago, these same snakes, it was in an open field and there were some buildings there. All these snakes were going all in the same direction. And they were huge. And I'm sitting there, I'm standing there, and I'm watching all the snakes. And they're not bothering me, but I'm like, ew. And I'm surprised because I wasn't scared in this dream either. I just thought, ew, look at all those snakes. Ew, that's nasty. Ew. So these snakes are going somewhere, maybe to the town in my dream that I had last night. But my daughter is in this dream, and she touches one of the heads of the snake, and the snake is still. And then there's a little snake that gets on top of the big snake, and the big snake kills the little snake because the big snake says, you disrespected me. You got on top of me like you was trying to ride me and control me, so it killed it. So yeah, I don't know what that one means either, but yeah, I gotta keep figuring it out.